Hey everyone, Nick here from Fantasy Book Reviews. We had some issues with the intro from our last video, so I'm recording it now to give proper spoiler warnings for anyone watching. This video is a review of episode 2 of Amazon's Wheel of Time series and will have spoilers from both episode 1 and 2 of the show. This review will also have very minimal spoilers from Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. With that, through the course of this video, Ray and I are going to be discussing the 3 things that we liked the most from the episode and the 3 things that we liked the least, and at the end, we'll give you our thoughts of the episode as a whole. So with that, enjoy the video.
This is a rewatch for us, and I'll say it first off, I like it better on the rewatches because I'm able to keep the book bias out as much as possible at that point.
Yeah, one thing I did when rewatching these episodes, I'm imagining this world to be a parallel universe in a Portal Stone. So that's why it's not, exactly the same. I'm
That's
just
fair.
kind of imagining these events going on in a different timeline. So
That's fair. That's fair.
it's helped me.
So with that, we'll start with what we did like, and to go first, Nick, you're up.
So what I like that this episode really fleshed out the characters a lot more. In episode 1, the plot seemed very rushed to get them out of the two rivers, and in this one it kind of slowed down a little bit, and you got to know the characters a little more. Rand, Egwin, and kind of Perrin, but Perrin's really really struggling with his inner turmoil, so not so much him. But Rand, Egwin, and Matt, we really see them a lot more, and I think that their characters are pretty good. I like them at this point.
On that too, I think the characters are fleshed out a lot more. I think you see Rand
Mm-hmm.
and his mistrust.
Yeah.
Rand's got trust
Moraine.
issues. And that's actually a cornerstone of the series as a whole is Rand and his trust issues, and you
Yeah.
see it start to come up during one of the things I did like was just let's go into the dream sequence. I think it's hard to do that from the books and make it look decent, but I thought the guy with ember eyes looked
Yeah.
pretty good, and the dreams were well done,
Yeah.
and then all of them were like kind of freaking out after it in their own way, and Rand's like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. He's definitely pushing back against Moraine.
Mhm.
He's not just following blindly. It's definitely true to the books as well. Not that, this is a TV adaptation. Obviously, it's not going to be a one for one. But Rand really does push back in the book a lot against Moraine.
yeah,
Sometimes almost to a fault for him, but
pretty
still.
much to a fault most of the time,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the dream sequence was something I liked, and also
Me-
the opening sequence, only because I hate white cloaks, and the show brought in the white cloaks, and I already hate the white cloaks, and
Yeah.
just everything they do, and the
Yeah.
biggest thing
They
that
are. Sorry, go ahead.
the biggest thing that makes me hate them, and this happens for any show I ever watch, is when somebody eats food irresponsibly and aggressively. Right? In the Lord of the Rings, we see it with Denethor. Just eat that,
That's-
just illegally eat that tomato. And then Eamon Valda is just grossly eating. So I automatically hate them.
Is that's supposed to be Volda?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the name. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're very hateable. True to the books. You at least I'm on there with you. I hate the White Cloaks already. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought they did a good job with that.
yeah. So my second sort of is I enjoyed how many antagonists that they kept from the books. Right. Because not only in the first episode we really see the Trollocs and the Fade.
Mhm.
So you have the Dark One's minions, if you will. And then in this one, they bring in the White Cloaks, another antagonist. And we also have the Retta Jaw kind of from the first episode. And in this one, we also have, we get to see Mashadar, right? Which is the black stuff that's chasing the group in Shadar Logoth.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing Mashadar, although it's not how I
Mhm.
pictured it when I read the books. I pictured it like a
I
black wind.
I wish that they would have kept it as the fog.
I mean,
I don't know.
either way, like it was super deadly, and I think they
Yeah.
portrayed the deadliness of it really well.
Yeah,
The-
I think they definitely made it more deadly. It is a lot more active in seeking out its targets,
Yeah,
which was cool. I like that.
Shadar Logoth as a whole, I liked the look. It was a little tall, little tall,
The wall was extremely large,
little tall,
but
but
yes.
a cool concept for the city.
I'll say the scenery is something that I really enjoy just as a whole. I like everything that I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. And with that, the only other major thing I did like from it is also, this is exactly like what I would do, right? So episode 1 is them leaving, boom.
Yep.
Episode 2, I would have it be this sequence and end it where they
Yeah.
ended it.
Yeah.
It's just execution. I think could have been done for my tastes better. But overall, the sequencing of their episode so far, I really commend them for.
Yeah, I agree. And so for my kind of final like that I have for this episode, I liked Nynaeve's appearance at the very end. Obviously, it's just for, you know, 10 seconds,
Yeah,
but you definitely see some of the ferocity that she was missing in the first episode.
yeah, that's Nynaeve. She is
Yeah,
ferocious.
exactly. Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. So rather how she was sort of timid in the first episode, at least for, you know, the 30 seconds that we see her, she's
yeah,
definitely a lot stronger than she was.
yeah. Now for things I don't like on Nynaeve herself, and
Okay.
it's her random backstory added. Now this is a minor nitpick, but her getting
Yeah.
taken by a Trolloc, and I don't love it, but that's a little nitpick. But I think the biggest thing about it, you know, the
Mhm.
not liking is just these unnecessary changes. They have the right ideas, they just have unnecessary changes in there, and this comes to my first big dislike, which was the one cringe moment for me in this episode, the Manetheren song.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I'm glad that they kept the story of Manetheren in there,
Yeah,
but yeah, it wasn't I didn't care for the whole sequence. In the books, the story of Manetheren is a lot more grand and, you know, a lot cooler. In this one, it's just kind of toned down and it's,
yeah,
yeah,
and
it wasn't that great. But
and
I'm
with
glad that
that,
they did keep it in.
I love that they kept in the story of Manetheren,
Hmm.
because every time I read the book and I read that shit,
Mm.
I'm like fighting back tears and shit. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, um,
Yeah.
but them leading into it with the song,
Yeah. They had to bring it up somehow, and they decided to do it
yeah,
with a musical number, I guess.
yeah, it just felt cringe because like I hang out with people and we don't just randomly sing sad songs with each other. You know, the only things we'll start
It's
singing is Backstreet Boys or NSYNC.
true. It was definitely, yeah, you would think that you would sing something a little upbeat whenever you're kind of bored, not
Yeah,
something sad. But yeah.
yeah. What
So
about your first big dislike?
yeah, my first big dislike I would say is the White Cloaks, specifically if that was Eamon Valda, specifically him. I think he's just a little too over the top for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and man, I hate the fact that he somehow has killed multiple Aes Sedai. Like again, just kind of weakening Aes Sedai as the powerhouse that they are. Like
Yeah.
how the heck is this random White Cloak gonna kill multiple Aes Sedai? It wasn't just like he got one, right? If he got one, like sure, maybe he got lucky. But for him to be able to do it just multiple times is I didn't enjoy it.
It's because he's
Um,
eating. He's eating at them, and
yeah.
they kill themselves from the disgust. That's how he beats
Yeah,
them.
I didn't care for the wardrobe. Whenever I wanted to see the White Cloaks, I wish that they were more paladin-esque, you know,
Hmm.
because they're always described as having this shining armor. You know, I just wanted to see them as that view more than in robes. But
Yeah,
that's just a little nitpick for me. And then one thing that I thought was very just totally against everything the White Cloaks is that one of the White Cloaks suggests to Moraine to seek out an Aes Sedai for healing. No matter how bad a wound was, a White Cloak would never tell someone to seek out an Aes Sedai. Never. It was
yeah,
just totally unrealistic.
yeah. Especially with a questioner right there. You
Yeah,
know.
because they are complete zealots, right? They would, it doesn't matter if you were going to die.
Yeah.
They would expect you to die before seeking out the help of an Aes Sedai,
Yeah, and if
of
you
a
do seek out the
Tarvalin
help of an
witch.
Aes Sedai, then you're a dark friend. Simple as that.
Yeah, yeah, you would never ask for help from a Tarvalin witch.
Yeah.
They're akin to the Dark One himself. So, uh, I had some issues with the White Cloaks.
Yeah. Are you ready for? I'm sure this is one of your big dislikes too. So I'll just say it and see if you agree.
Let's see.
Wolves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was my second one.
same. So Wolves and Perrin, I think they're doing a horrible, horrendous job of showing that connection between them, specifically because of how big of a role it plays in the future of not just this book but all the books. And they're
Yeah,
just doing it poorly. And these wolves look at him, and he's just sitting there, and they come up and start looking at him. He's like, and
yeah,
there's no dialogue, no
yeah. I
feeling.
find this whole sequence to be very weird. The
Mhm.
meeting is just it's just odd and
Yeah.
it doesn't make much sense. A little spoiler for the book, Perrin kind of requires a guide to be able to communicate with the wolves. So yeah, it's just a kind of weird meeting to me. I'm not saying that they can't foreshadow what is coming with him, but just the way that they do it was very clunky.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some auditory specifically. Like, I don't know. They needed to find some way for Perrin, like, to hear or feel, for the
Yeah,
audience to hear or feel, and there was none.
I think in the first meeting that it's not. I don't think that that is a necessary thing because Perrin, including in the books, he is not able to understand or even hear what the wolves are saying whenever he first meets them
Well, yeah, but he gets
with the
urges.
guy. Yeah, he has the faint feeling of something, but there's definitely no auditory meaning that he would be
Oh
able
yeah,
to
yeah.
get from them.
I'm saying
So,
for the audience to understand
okay,
is that feeling. He doesn't have a feeling, and
okay,
it just looks like a guy standing there as he's getting licked
yeah,
by wolves.
that's
You
true.
know.
And I feel like this is a definitely a difficult thing to portray to the
Hmm.
audience, but yeah, the way that they did it was just clunky. It's
Yeah.
not good to me.
Yeah, and I don't have a solution for it. I don't know how they could do it. I'm just saying I wish they had something for it because I think
Yeah,
it's needed, or else it just
yeah,
looks like a guy getting licked by a wolf, which is what it
yeah,
looked like. You
which
know?
was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So since that was my second one as well, I'll just kind of go into my third, which is the origin story of Shadar Logoth.
Mhm.
I enjoyed the Shadar Logoth sequence and being able to see the city and see Mashadar, but I didn't care for the change to the story. I thought the original story, right? So I believe the story in the episode was that they sealed these people like kind of became corrupt. It doesn't really give you the how, and they sealed themselves off from the world, and then people came knocking on the door, no one was there, and then randomly everyone just stopped going into the city. So
Yeah.
it has the feeling of being totally unfinished, and it doesn't give you the sense of why. The original Shadar Logoth story, which I think could have easily just been thrown in as it is, was much scarier, right? These people were just so corrupt in defeating the Dark One that they kind of took the opposite effect or the same side as him. And whenever people saw the peoples of Arid Hole, right, coming to their rescue, they were totally afraid, and they ended up doing some terrible atrocities.
Yeah.
And there was an actual reason to why the Trollocs wouldn't enter, not just like, oh, they're so scared of this place, but who knows why they won't even enter.
Yeah.
So it just felt unfinished to me.
Um. That's my big third final dislike is Shadar Logoth related,
Oh,
um, and it's a part of that. It's missing a the story of Shadar Logoth, which could have easily, yeah, it could have easily been in there. Um,
yeah, that was something that I did. I felt the change was totally, it was worse and it was unnecessary because it's not like they were cutting anything.
yeah. Um, but my big third dislike is no more death. Where's more
And
death at?
yeah, Mordeth would have been a very cool addition. I would have liked to see that. And one thing along with this, even with the story though, as incomplete as it is, Lan tells them not to go looking around, not to leave, right? And what do they immediately do? Rand immediately just goes wandering off to a different building.
Yeah.
Egwin wanders off after him. Matt wanders off and finds the dagger. Like, which obviously he needs to get the dagger, but
They're
having the
curious like a
story,
cat.
yeah, but having the story prior to them leaving, it's just like, man, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I didn't like the execution of all of this.
Yeah. I really wanted to see more death there because I think it would have given them a much like just that's like a scary moment, right? There's a dude there in the book. Rand only notices something's amiss because the dude ain't got no shadows, and he's like, and he says out loud,
Yeah.
"Yo, where's your shadows?" And Mordeath was like, "All right, so you have chosen death, essentially."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
it could have been a really
Yeah.
cool introduction to something that isn't the Dark One, that
Yeah.
isn't a good guy, that isn't a bad guy. It's just it's an extra force of something, and
Yeah.
they could have fleshed out the world more with it. You know?
I agree, and this is something that I think that a TV adaptation is obviously not gonna be able to. They're gonna have to cut down so much content. So, right, a Mordeth sequence would have taken what, an extra 15 or 20 minutes to go through.
No, a
Um,
Mordeath, you would have just slapped him in there for an extra minute. It would have been a minute. Are you
a
kidding me?
minute, they
Yeah,
have
they
to
they all go
no.
out. Yeah, they all go out and leave their own, right, and they just walk into this place and Mordeath's there, and then they just have their conversation and boom, it's like, oh, I have a
May
dagger.
I think I was too far to the right and you're too far to the left. Maybe I would say 5 to 10 minutes. It would take. It would be more than that. It would be way less than what I said. But
You,
still,
you would cut out
uh,
2 to 3 minutes though of the other shit they had in there instead.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
honestly, I
it
think they
could,
could have had Mordeath in there and the original
yeah,
story, and it probably would have been like 2 minutes longer. 3
yeah, and I think it would have been better off for it.
would have been much better.
Again, yeah, again, I don't mind that they're cutting things out, right? It's a TV adaptation. There's no way that they're going to get it all in. But the thing that I did fear and seems to be happening is that they're rushing through plot. All
Hmm.
right. They're like, because the book is so large, because there's so much going on, they're like, we got to get plot, 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 plot. And it feels rushed.
So overall, right, 3 likes,
Hmm.
dislikes, done. Um, I think this episode was better than episode 1.
Agreed.
By not a significant margin, but by a good margin.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Um, Yeah, I definitely agree. I guess I should have given like my overall score in the first video for episode 1, but I think I would have given episode 1 like a soft 6. And I would give this episode a solid 7. So
Okay.
I think it was definitely better. I agree that it was better than the first episode.
I would probably do the same. 6 for the first, maybe a 5.75, and then for this one, I would
Okay.
give it no more than a 7, no less than a 6.
We're on the same page with that.
Hmm.
But
Definitely,
hopefully,
if you are fans of the series and you watch this once, rewatch it. It's better. That's
yeah,
what I will
and you,
say.
I think I think you have to kind of, because I am definitely a hardcore fan of the books, and the first time watching it, I was just so disappointed with how they didn't stick to the books almost at all that I couldn't get past any of that. So on this rewatch, me putting my mindset into this isn't the same timeline. It is
Yeah.
slightly different because of the nature of the Wheel of Time lore. Um, it's made it a lot better for me.
Hmm. Yeah, same here. But overall, it's definitely the better episode of 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, and we'll see how it continues. Like you had said, this is kind of a rewatch. Well, it is a rewatch, but the first time I watched it, I was just so disappointed I wasn't really paying attention. So, um, it's a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. If you enjoyed this video and like this sort of content, like and subscribe, hit that bell notification button because we'll continue with this series.
And stay tuned for episode 3. Episode 3 review will be coming out next. And check out our other videos while you're at it. Thanks for watching. Ray out.
Bye.